32 points, 7 assists, 9 of 14 from the field, 10 for 10 from the free throw line. Caitlin Clark didn't just have a good night, she had one of those nights that makes you stop scrolling, rewind the clip, and watch it 3 more times. But here's the thing nobody's talking about yet. Buried inside this win is a warning sign for the Indiana Fever, one that could decide whether this team makes a real run in the playoffs or gets knocked out in the first round. Stick around, because by the end of this video you'll understand exactly what that warning sign is, and why it matters more than the final score. Before we get into it, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We break down every big WNBA performance, every shift in team chemistry, every storyline that actually matters, not just the box score. Let's get into it. The night Caitlin Clark took over. The Indiana Fever went on the road to Seattle and left with a 105-95 win over the Storm, their 4th straight victory, pushing them to 18-10 on the season and into 4th place in the WNBA standings. But the record only tells you the outcome. It doesn't tell you how it happened. And how it happened is where this story gets interesting. Caitlin Clark scored 32 points on just 14 shot attempts. Let that sink in for a second. 9 of 14 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3, and a perfect 10 for 10 from the free throw line. She added 7 assists and 4 rebounds on top of that. This is not a volume shooting stat line where a player chucks up 30 shots and hopes enough of them fall. This is elite, efficient, almost surgical scoring. When a player gets to the free throw line 10 times and makes every single one, that's not luck. That's footwork. That's understanding angles, drawing contact, forcing officials to make a call. That's a player who has completely figured out how to manipulate a defense. And she saved her best for the 3rd quarter. Clark dropped 16 points in that period alone. To put that in perspective, the rest of the Fever combined to go 0 for 9 from the field during that same stretch, scoring only 2 total points, both from Kelsey Mitchell free throws. For 10 straight minutes, Caitlin Clark was the entire Indiana offense. Every possession that mattered ran through her hands, and every time Seattle sent a double team, switched a screen, or tried something new, she had an answer. Indiana still led 76-72 heading into the 4th quarter, and that lead existed almost entirely because of what Clark did by herself in that 3rd period. This wasn't a one-game outlier either. Over Indiana's current 4-game winning streak, Clark is averaging 30.3 points and 8.8 assists per game. That's not a hot streak. That's a player operating on a different level than almost anyone else in the league right now. Watch what happens when Seattle tries to adjust. Here's what makes this performance even more impressive when you dig into the details. Seattle didn't just sit back and let Clark cook. They tried full court pressure. They switched their coverages. They sent extra bodies at her off screens. And none of it worked. When a defense throws multiple different schemes at one player over the course of a game and she still finishes with 32 points on 14 shots, you're not looking at a hot shooting night. You're looking at a player who has simply outgrown the defenses being thrown at her. And Clark wasn't hunting her own numbers either. 7 assists in a game where she also scored 32 points tells you she was reading the floor the entire night, not chasing a stat line. When Kelsey Mitchell got hot late, Clark found her. When the offense needed a release valve, Clark created it. That combination of individual scoring and quiet playmaking is exactly what separates a good scorer from a truly complete offensive player. But Clark wasn't the only Fever player putting on a show. And what happened next in this game is honestly just as important to Indiana's playoff picture as anything Clark did. Kelsey Mitchell takes over when it matters most. Kelsey Mitchell finished with 28 points on 9 of 18 shooting, including 4 of 7 from 3, and 6 for 6 from the free throw line. But the number that really stands out is this: 18 of those 28 points came in the 4th quarter alone. Not spread out. Not padded in garbage time. 18 points in one single period, when Seattle was still within striking distance and the game genuinely could have gotten uncomfortable for Indiana. This is the moment where you find out what a player is really made of. The game is close enough that one bad stretch flips momentum completely, and instead of the Fever tightening up, Mitchell decided the game was over. Step-back threes. Attacks to the rim. Trips to the free throw line. She put this game out of reach almost by herself in the final period, and that's exactly the kind of performance that turns a talented backcourt into a genuinely terrifying one. Think about what that means for opposing coaches trying to game plan against Indiana. You cannot load up on Caitlin Clark and leave Kelsey Mitchell open, because Mitchell will make you pay in a single quarter. And you cannot key in on Mitchell either, because Clark will carry an entire 3rd quarter by herself. When both of these guards are rolling in the same game, there is no clean answer. You're picking which poison kills you slower. Sophie Cunningham chipped in 11 points off the bench, and she did it almost instantly, 3 3-pointers in the first quarter alone. That's the kind of instant offense that can completely change a game's early rhythm, giving Indiana a cushion before their stars even needed to take over. The moment that should worry every Fever fan. Now here's where we need to talk about the part of this game that doesn't show up as clearly in the highlight reels, but matters enormously going forward. In the second quarter, Fever center Aaliyah Boston suffered a lower right leg injury and did not return to the game. She'd scored 11 points up to that point. Michaela Timpson stepped in to start the second half in her place. Boston's absence is the storyline that could define whether Indiana is a true championship contender or a team that's still missing a piece. Because it wasn't Boston who ended up with the double-double in this game, it was Monique Billings who stepped up with 14 points and 11 rebounds to help fill that void. Billings deserves real credit for that performance. But the larger question remains, can Indiana's offense function at its normal level over a long stretch without Boston anchoring the paint? A team built around 2 elite scoring guards still needs interior structure, someone who creates space, absorbs contact, and gives the offense a release valve when the perimeter game isn't clicking. Losing that piece, even for a single half, is the kind of thing that gets exposed fast against elite competition in the postseason. Indiana has a few days off before continuing its road trip against the Portland Fire, and how quickly Boston recovers from this injury may end up being one of the most important storylines of Indiana's entire season. The Storm player who refused to go down quietly. We also have to give real credit to the other side of the floor, because Seattle is in the middle of a genuinely difficult season, sitting at 6-24 with their 7th straight loss after this game. And yet, in the middle of that, Natisha Heedman turned in a career night that deserves recognition. She scored a career-high 33 points, shooting 11 of 20 from the field and an incredible 6 of 10 from three-point range, while adding 6 rebounds and 4 assists. She played 35 minutes and didn't turn the ball over a single time. Think about that for a second. A team fighting through a brutal stretch, missing 2 of their key frontcourt pieces due to injury, on the losing end of a 4th straight defeat, and one player still finds a way to put together the best game of her career. That's the kind of individual performance that gets overshadowed when it happens in a loss, but it shouldn't be. Heedman outscored everyone on the floor not named Caitlin Clark, and she did it as efficiently as anyone in this entire game. Seattle also got contributions off the bench from Flau'jae Johnson, who scored 16 points before fouling out, along with Awa Pham adding 11 and Zia Cook chipping in 10. The Storm were also playing without 2 significant frontcourt pieces in this game, with one starter sidelined by a back issue and another out with a broken nose. Considering the absences and the circumstances, Seattle competed far harder than a 6-24 record might suggest, and this loss says more about Indiana's 2 stars going off than it does about any lack of effort from Seattle. Why this game matters more than the final score suggests. So let's zoom out and talk about what this game actually tells us about Indiana heading into the stretch run of the season. The Fever are 18-10, riding a 4-game winning streak, and getting historic level efficiency from their franchise player. That's the good news, and there's a lot of it. Caitlin Clark averaging over 30 points and nearly 9 assists a game over this stretch is the kind of production that changes what's possible for this franchise. But every winning streak eventually runs into a team that can defend at an elite level, and that's when the questions about depth and structure get answered for real. Can Indiana still generate easy looks in the half-court if Boston needs time to recover from this injury? Can Billings continue producing double-doubles on a nightly basis, or was this one big performance in a moment where the team desperately needed it? Those are the exact questions that will get tested over the coming weeks, and how Indiana answers them will tell us a lot more about their ceiling than any single 10-point road win over a rebuilding Seattle team. Here's what we know for certain. When Clark and Mitchell are both rolling like they were in this game, Indiana can beat almost anybody in this league on a given night. 32 and 28 points from your 2 guards, combined for over 60 points on a night where the role players also chipped in, is the recipe for a deep playoff run. The follow-up question, the one that actually determines a championship, is whether this team can find a way to generate that same level of offense on nights when the shots aren't falling quite as easily, and whether the frontcourt can hold up physically over an 82-game grind plus a playoff push. We'll be watching Boston's recovery closely, and we'll be right back here breaking down the next chapter of this story as soon as it happens. What did you think of this performance? Do you think Indiana can sustain this level with Boston sidelined, or does this team need her back on the floor to be a real championship contender? Let us know in the comments below, hit that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive as the playoff race continues to heat up.